Academia. I'm Richard Price, CEO of Academia.edu, and I'll be your host today as we dive into a truly unique and, well, very intriguing entry in the world of academic research. Now, I want to pause right here and emphasize, like I always do, my role is to present papers and their findings neutrally. I don't endorse, I don't refute, I just walk you through the ideas so you, as the listener, can make up your own mind. Got it? Okay, let's roll. Today's episode centers on work by David G. Little, also known as Swami Munamurti Saraswati. Specifically, this is about his suite of writings gathered as the 7 Scrolls of Advanced Astral Physics, set for publication in August 2025 over in Forster Tuncor in New South Wales, Australia. If you feel like you've stumbled into a cosmic adventure, you aren't alone. This paper sits at the intersection of spiritual science, symbolic pedagogy, and what the author calls genre transmission suite. It's dense, it's abstract, but believe me, there's a lot to unpack. What is the core problem or question David G. Little is addressing? Well, the big question running throughout is, can the body be understood as a medium for spiritual transmission? Essentially as a channel or interface bridging the physical, the mental, and the astral. He's asking, how can ancient practices, think yoga, breathwork, dream cognition, meld with modern scientific concepts like quantum biology, and even the idea of DNA strands to create a new framework for spiritual and evolutionary growth? For listeners, this matters if you're curious about holistic health, mind-body practices, or the fusion of science and spirituality. It's also a wild ride for anyone skeptical, so keep your explorer's hat on. Let's walk through the main insights. Again, I'm presenting these from the paper, not as ultimate truths. The 7 Scrolls themselves cover quite a range. First off, Scroll 1 puts forward metaphysical equations meant to model spiritual transformation. It's got formulas like yoga equals mastery times the sum of time and space. I know, you don't see that every day. There are further equations for Laya or energetic collapse and new states of consciousness. The point being to encode stepwise change in spiritual development symbolically. The second scroll dives straight into yogic science's more advanced concepts. Soul-body separation, chakras, kundalini energy rising. There's even a formula that tries to model spiritual liberation as a process involving separation of physical, astral, and causal bodies, made possible by awakening kundalini energy. For anyone who's explored yoga or Eastern spiritual philosophy, this is familiar territory, but here it's sort of mathematicized, if that's even a word. The third scroll, that's where it gets, well, Cosmic David G. Little proposes the idea that we possess 12 strands of DNA, not just the classic 2, but with 10 being dormant until awakened by kundalini rising. He digs into the notion that these dormant strands relate to the astral and causal bodies, linking this to what researchers often call junk DNA. Now, most scientists label it junk because its function isn't clear, but the idea here is, what if our spiritual potential and even ancestral memory are written into these genetic codes? For the listener, this means thinking beyond the visible or measurable and asking, what if human experience is bigger than what shows up in a test tube? The manifesto scroll, Scroll 4, is all about consecrating this whole genre, advanced astral physics, with breath geometry, telepathic equations, and a whole set of rules for formatting knowledge as symbolic curriculum. There are also some fun side trips, like the Tesla breath logic and the way vows, rather than just evidence or data, back the genre. My digression for a second. Does anyone else feel like we should have school for vow-backed knowledge? I mean, I can't imagine taking algebra with an oath. I solemnly swear to solve for X. But hey, maybe there's something to learn here about intentionality, right? The later scrolls keep building. Quantum biology is invoked, with the body modeled as a memory router, referencing scientists like Dr. Richard Alan Miller and Dr. Stuart Hameroff. Both, by the way, are known for speculative theories about consciousness. There's even the idea that the neural tube is both the way we arrive in our bodies and the exit point out, in yogic thinking, the gate to liberation. The 7th scroll wraps things up by reimagining the brain as a multidimensional interface, organizing vow, breath, dream, and bodily resonance into a single living system. For you listening at home, the big takeaway, whether you accept or challenge these ideas, is an invitation to question where the boundaries of knowledge might actually be. Does blending symbolic understanding, lived tradition, and scientific hypothesis lead us somewhere new, or does it just make our heads spin? I leave that to you. Remember, academic research asks questions more often than it gives answers, and sometimes the journey is what matters. Ooh, quite the odyssey today. I hope these insights spark some new lines of thinking, whether you're a seeker or a skeptic. Thanks for tuning in to In Depth with Academia. I'm Richard Price, reminding you, explore, reflect, and remember, no paper has the last word. Stay curious.